Gaming news today is all about the Game Awards 2024. Now, we will be streaming the Game Awards 2024 nominees announcement. That will be later today. So if you're watching this stream and you want to see my reaction to those nominees, be sure to check that out. I am going to give you my predictions in this live stream as I open the show. So if you want to see how accurate or how on point I was or how badly I did, make sure and stick around for all of my my guesses. You can leave a comment below if you're watching in the live stream. Make sure and hit the like button and let us know in the chat what you think. There's also a big discussion brewing about the Game Awards and what can qualify for a Game of the Year nomination. Can a DLC be nominated? Should it be? And we've had remakes nominated before in the past, but now it's official on the site that they can be nominated. So we're going to be debating that. Now, the fallout continues from the Phil Spencer interview circuit and the infamous "This is an Xbox" ad campaign that just continues to unfold, and we'll be talking about that as well. I just uploaded a video this morning and I basically call this the end. It's over. Xbox is so completely out of touch, both in the advertisement as well as Phil's comments. So check out that video. It simply says Xbox, it's over. I talk about why they're out of touch and why I don't think their plan will work, and the fallout continues, and we'll talk about that this morning. And we have leaked footage. Now, this is not great news for Xbox. We have leaked footage and screenshots of Stalker 2 on an Xbox Series X. It's inviting some concerns about performance. I will not be showing you those screenshots. I will not be showing you that footage. I'm kind of hoping that the embargo drops any minute now or tomorrow for Stalker 2. And I've got more games for your wish list and your radar. If you like this kind of content, if you like this kind of content, do me a favor. Hit that like button, hit the thumbs up, even if you're watching later and I'm not live, but hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss out on the shows. If you've never done a paid membership on YouTube, try it out for a month here. It's $6 for Member Plus, and that will get you into all of my extra shows and content as well as my Discord, and it helps support what I do here. But the best way to support what I do is to be here for the live shows. So again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, I thought it would be fun to give you my 6 guesses or predictions on the Game of the Year nominees. Now, I might have to add or change some things given what's going on with DLC potentially qualifying, but I am basing this on the overall scores and the quantity of reviews and the jury process. This is not based on my own personal opinion. I've not played some of these games. I am simply making a guess based on all of the math and how it's going to shake out. And some of these are a little easier than others. The first 2 are pretty easy. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, every list for Game of the Year nominee predictions has Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the list, okay? Now, it was mired in performance issues and criticism and kind of still is, and recent headlines have made for great advertisements for the PS5 Pro. Not that we want the Pro to be fixing games that aren't well optimized, but it certainly has put this one back in the center of the conversation for Game of the Year contenders, as it is one that people enjoyed very much. It has an incredibly strong score and a ton of total reviews. So, almost undeniable, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be up on the podium for Game of the Year. And one that a lot of us said would likely surprise folks and land with the Game of the Year nomination. I said this just based on trailers. I said, this looks like a game that's going to kind of take the world by surprise, and it is Astro Bot. With 157 total reviews on OpenCritic, that's actually 2 more total reviews than Rebirth. This thing is a monster with respect to score and critical reception. Now, I know this is a hard pill for platform fanboys to swallow, but Astro Bot is the current front runner for Game of the Year. This is actually the one that I think will win. This is not based on my personal preference. I enjoyed Stellar Blade quite a bit more. I don't think Stellar Blade gets a Game of the Year nomination. So this will, I think, get a nomination for and the win for the Game of the Year. And again, that's not based on my own personal preference or choice. I'm just basing this off of the math and how this process works. I think way more people are going to vote for it than any other game. Now, another game that just came out recently that I think makes it up onto the podium is one that's not really even my cup of tea. This one is Metaphor. The results are undeniable. It has 130 total reviews on OpenCritic. It has a 92. This is a score and a review quantity that will likely land this game on the Game of the Year podium. I imagine Metaphor will also show up in other categories and potentially win those categories. RPG fans, turn-based fans have really been eating good lately. I'm not a huge turn-based guy, but man, RPG fans especially, what a great time to be a fan of games like this. You're swimming in games. Now, the fourth game, I'm going to give you basically 6 because there's likely going to be 6 nominations. The fourth game is another one, just not my cup of tea, but this thing did very, very well, based purely on the quantity of scores and the total scores. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth will likely get a Game of the Year nomination. It has 151 total scores on OpenCritic and a score of 90. That is a very impressive average after that many scores. So many really good games this year, really solid games landed in the low 80s. So if you're in the upper 80s or 90s, you're a likely candidate for Game of the Year. So I think Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth will be up there on the podium, which is what led me to my next prediction. And I know this one might surprise you, but I think Dragon's Dogma 2 could potentially get a Game of the Year nomination. It has an 87 after 157 reviews. And 87 is a very strong score this year, close enough to the 90s to sneak in. And that's also a lot of reviews. 157 is a very, very strong number. That means a ton of people played it, liked it, and will then likely throw its name in the hat. It's also a very popular game. Now, the performance issues aside, and you apparently need a PS5 Pro if you want to get anything close to 60 FPS, and that's obviously a frustration, but this game was received well by critics, and I could see it getting a Game of the Year. Now, for the 6th spot, I'm going to be a bit of a coward here, all right? I'm not going to give you one for the 6th spot because I don't know. There are people predicting that Helldivers 2 could end up on the stage for Game of the Year. It was super popular, but its overall score isn't that great. It has an 83 on OpenCritic and an 82 on Metacritic. That might be strong enough that just enough people vote for it because they thought it was so great. It kind of took the world by storm. But the recent issues with nerfs and buffs and the issue with PSN on Steam, that might have chopped it down a peg in everybody's mind. So I don't know about Helldivers 2. It'd be great to see it up there. I don't think it would win. I think it's a perfectly fine score. I think it did perfectly well, but I just don't know if it's going to be strong enough to get that nomination. Then there are smaller titles that crushed it. Animal Well and Balatro. A lot of people have said that Animal Well and Balatro will end up on the podium. They may get passed over purely because of the quantity of reviews. There are so many other games, just the 5 that I listed, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astrobot, Metaphor, Like a Dragon, and Dragon's Dogma 2. There's just so many more reviews. Only about 50 outlets reviewed Animal Well and roughly 50 reviewed Balatro. That might not be enough outlets to give you enough votes unless they do some kind of a weighting system outside of the top 3 or something. I'm not really sure. Now to the debate. Okay, everybody is debating about DLC and remakes and should they or should they not qualify. Everybody's very mad. They're very upset. They're like, hey, you guys made this last minute change, okay? There's also people claiming that, well, the deadline in Stalker 2. Stalker 2 could still make it. I'm seeing somebody put this in the chat. The embargo for reviews for Stalker is on the 20th. Well, that's the release date. So at 2 p.m. GMT, I'm going to very quickly on the fly in the show open here. That's 9 a.m. the day that it releases. I find that to be concerning. I don't like when an embargo drops on the release date. So we'll get to that story here in a minute, but thank you. That does mean that review outlets could be voting for Stalker 2. They've had it, and the embargo drops in 2 days. So we may see Stalker 2 nominations today when we co-stream the event, all right? Now, as for DLCs and remakes, okay, this isn't new with respect to remakes. Remakes can be nominated. Last year, Resident Evil 4 was nominated for Game of the Year. It sparked a big controversy and a debate. I remember going to the website and checking, and the Game Awards website literally said no remakes qualify. Now, I was confused this morning in Morning Coffee. I thought last year when we checked that both remakes and DLCs could qualify. That's not true. DLC was added just this year in the last week. It's a very new addition to the website. Now, apparently, the Game Awards website is just a splash page. I'm not sure why they did that, but I'm going to give you my theory, okay? Shadow of the Erd Tree is undeniably a massive DLC, okay? It's enormous. It was praised. It has the second highest score of the year on OpenCritic, only beat out by Astrobot. My theory is that a bunch of the outlets and the people voting said, hey, Erd Tree is the size of a game. We should be able to vote for it. Keighley probably said, okay, that's fine. An overwhelming amount of you said you want to vote for it. I'll let you vote for it, okay? My personal opinion is that it shouldn't qualify. It's a DLC, right? It's standing on the shoulders of an existing game and engines and assets, and I don't know if I like the idea of a DLC winning. I will admit that this is the one DLC that would be like, okay, I guess I could see why it got nominated due to the sheer volume and size of content, due to the overwhelming and insane high praise, and just how great Elden Ring as a game in general. So that's my theory as to why that's been suddenly added, but I do think that's a bad idea. If up to this date, up to this week, DLCs were not listed, he should have just responded and said, hey, I'm sorry, in the future we might consider that, but the website's been up all year and that's not been a stipulation. To add the stipulation this late in the game is just making people accuse him of malfeasance. I don't think there's anything underhanded going on. I genuinely think that a bunch of the YouTubers, outlets, journalists, bloggers, and people that are a part of the jury process said, you gotta let us vote for Erd Tree, okay? Now here's the deal. There are people that are concerned that Shadow of the Erd Tree is going to come in and swoop in and take Game of the Year away from something more deserving, okay? I don't want that to happen either. Brand new games, I think, should have a huge leg up in the context. That's just my personal opinion, because you're doing the game of the year, and a DLC is not a game of the year. It's a DLC added to a game that already came out, okay? Here's why I don't think it will win. Currently, it is 1 point behind Astrobot on OpenCritic, but it only has 124 votes on OpenCritic. Okay, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was in the 150s, Astrobot 150s, Metaphor 150s. Way more people played and reviewed those games. So it's already down in the quantity race. Less people reviewed it. Less people played it, okay? The second reason I don't think it'll get enough votes is I think there are enough outlets and YouTubers and people who are going to be of the conviction that they shouldn't be voting for a DLC for Game of the Year. So yes, he probably got a lot of people requesting that DLCs be voted for, but I don't know if that means it can win. I think the change to the website means it's getting a nomination, okay? I think this is going to sneak in and take that 6th spot, which is a bit of a bummer. I wanted to see something smaller or lesser known like Balatro or Animal Well or maybe even Stalker 2 sneak up there. But I think the change to the website is sort of like tipping your poker hand. They got so many people to vote for Erd Tree. Erd Tree's getting a nomination, but I don't think it will win. The math is not in its favor. It doesn't have enough reviews, and I do think there'll be plenty of people that won't vote for it out of principle of it's not a game, and therefore it should not win Game of the Year. I think it would be really, really bad for the event. I think it would be bad for the optics for a DLC to take that title, okay? So that's my thoughts on that. I don't think there's some sinister conspiracy going on. Everybody's being very, very quick to jump and grift and misrepresent. I think this is a far more simple situation than people are making it, and I think people should voice their opinion and let Keighley and the folks on the board or whoever's in charge of this event know, we really think you should not have DLC in the category. It really muddles the whole thing. Maybe give DLC its own category or something. There's just sometimes not enough DLCs in a single year to have a true contest, so maybe that's why they don't do it. Now, the other major thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the continued fallout from This Is an Xbox and the Phil Spencer interview circuit. I'm seeing Xbox-centric YouTube channels, podcasts, Twitter clips. It's all over the place. The Xbox loyal continue to react to the latest round of interviews, and This Is an Xbox advertisements, and they aren't happy. Again, be sure to check out my recent video where I say Xbox, it's over, okay? And I talk about how this ad campaign and the interview circuit, it just shows that they're out of touch. I think Microsoft is far more in control than before. I think this approach to software will not work with games and gamers. I don't think this is the right play. I think we're going to be looking at an Xbox that looks far more like a publisher than an ecosystem in the future. I think they're going to largely lean on mobile for their ecosystem because they'll make way more money there. But traditional gaming and cloud gaming, I think a lot of that's going to end up not being profitable enough for them. And Microsoft will lean more heavily into mobile games and publishing on PlayStation, PC, Nintendo, and whatever the Xbox looks like. But they're not going to be doing high-end Xboxes in the future, according to Phil Spencer. The handheld's still a few years out. So they're not even looking to respond to PlayStation. But check out my video because I really analyze what Phil Spencer said about how an 11 out of 10 Starfield wouldn't make people get rid of their PS5s. And I look at how many people didn't build a library in the PS4 era and yet still bought a PS5, proving Phil Spencer to both be wrong and out of touch. So check out that video, show it some support, love, like it, share it. That'd be awesome if you do that, if you like what I'm saying in that video. Now, the Stalker 2 performance concerns, and with the embargo dropping the day of the release, I'm officially concerned about Stalker 2, and I've been cheering for this game since the beginning, right? Twisted Voxel brought this to the public this morning, and they said the following. A Reddit user named Orpheus Dorvis shared their experiences of playing the game on the Xbox Series X in performance mode. They described the performance as, quote, not smooth, and the visuals as, quote, a little dirty. Despite praising the immersive weather effects and environmental details, they hope for a substantial day one patch to fix the current issues. Now, we have heard that this game is going to be running 60 FPS on both the Series X and the S, and I thought that sounded too good to be true based on everything I had seen. I was like, how is this going to be maintaining 60 on the S? Very graphically intensive game, and the S has continued to continue to hit good resolution and 60 FPS due to its constraints in power. Now, hopefully the day one patch can rectify this stuff. The article did speculate the AI systems in it could be causing some of the performance issues. Here's the quote. Regarding the A-Life 2.0 simulation system, which promises dynamic AI-driven interactions, the user noted they hadn't seen enough of the feature to fully assess its impact. They speculated that the game might be, or the system, might be contributing to the game's performance challenges on consoles. This is a game that I've been pulling for this year, not just to release on time, but I would love to see it get good reception. Performance issues can certainly be overlooked by the press. They overlook them in Jedi Survivor. They overlook them in Dragon's Dogma 2, but consumers, and especially Xbox console fans, will likely not take it too well if another game launches with performance issues on their console. Now, this isn't a first-party game, but it is a timed exclusive, and it would be a big win for the faithful Xbox fans, as the year really hasn't gone their way. From a podcast that was a little frustrating to then Indiana Jones looking like Phil Spencer misled them, to now hearing there's no red line in the catalog and there's no hardware anytime soon. This has just not been a great year for Xbox loyal, and to have another big release drop below performance expectations would be a bit of a blow. Avowed got delayed. Phil's comments on that delay are kind of frustrating for Xbox fans. They could afford it, and they did it for Game Pass cadence. 33 Immortals and Towerborn were also delayed into next year. They were meant to be padding out the year and filling in gaps. So hopefully Stalker 2 can land strong, because the Xbox loyal sure need it. And it was one that I was looking forward to, and I wanted the developers to get a lot of praise for their games. Now, very quickly here, before I turn and talk to the live audience, guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Let's get to 200 likes before I finish the opening segment here. I want to put some games on your wish list and your radar, and this first one is called Paperhead Episode 0. It's a charming little boomer shooter that looks like it's made out of paper, and it just released on Steam on November the 14th, and its price is pretty competitive. You can't beat free, okay? This game is literally free right now on Steam. It's also sitting at a 91%. So definitely check this one out. Give them some love. Give it a good review since it is free, and people seem to be enjoying it. Also, given its name, Paperhead Episode 0, they may plan more content and updates later, maybe do episodic content that charge money, and then they could make, some actual money from it, because if they're giving it away for free for whatever reason. And it looks like a really creative system of paper and cardboard, and the art style looks really interesting. So if you like boomer shooters and you like little indie titles that get creative and try new things, definitely give Paperhead Episode 0 a look there. And if you do download it and try it out, give them a review. This next one came across my desk, and it looks really, really good. Is called Anaya: Life After the Gods. Now, according to Xbox Era, it's announced for PC on Steam to release in the first quarter of 2025. Anaya will then be coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and the Nintendo Switch. And it seems to me that they've just got a really, really great blend of classic Metroidvanias as well as newer platforms with the faster combat and the platforming and a far more fluid style. I also think it's got a great art style and great use of color. So definitely make sure and wishlist this one since it is right around the corner. And then we could, again, see this thing's going to land early in the year for PC, and then hopefully then later in the year it lands on console. So check that one out. Now, the last game I'm going to put on your radar, because I'm just going to keep cheering for this game, okay? I really hope they pull it off this week. I'm going to put Stalker 2 back up here on the stage for you, all right? It releases this week on the 20th. Preload's currently available. It's 20 gigs larger than Starfield. I hope the embargo is, whenever it drops, I hope the reviews are glowing. I hope the performance issues are resolved in that day one patch. I would even love for a surprise nomination today for this game, given everything that this team has been through. It would just be such a show of force and triumph for them for that to happen. So I'm putting Stalker 2 once again back on your radar. Check that out this week when it releases. We will be playing it on its launch date on the channel, so make sure you are subscribed here to Reforge Gaming. So quick recap. Game of the Year nominees, I made my guesses, but there's some controversy about DLC maybe getting up there. The Xbox Fallout continues. Stalker 2 had leaked gameplay and screenshots, and then I put some more games on your wish list and your radar. So that's the news. And now it's time for the discussion. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Just 14 more likes, and we'll be sitting at 200 likes. We appreciate you guys so much. And quickly, don't go anywhere. I want to show you guys something very, very quickly. I have not been using my second camera, but I need to today because Into the AM is back in cycle. I got a nice lonely astronaut, but he's playing video games in outer space. I've got another shirt for another date. You'll have to wait, but I wouldn't wait. And the reason that I wouldn't wait is that's not what you need to see. This is what you need to see. Use code LONO, all right? You can add an additional 10% off. They're doing a 60% off site-wide sale right now for their Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale, okay? This is running from November the 13th to December the 8th. Amazing shirts. I have that one, and it glows in the dark. I have that one right there. I don't have the beach one. I have the octopus one. So use code LONO, or you can go to intotheam.com/LONO, and that does support me, all right? You guys are the absolute best. You guys continue to support. Anytime we've worked with it Into the AM, you guys have had high praise for their shirts. I have so many of their shirts in circulation, so be sure to check that out. Again, use code LONO. You can add my discount on top of what they're doing. Yeah, that was a character from Final Fantasy VII. I just had a trailer paused. Yeah, that was an interesting thing to come over to. So make sure anytime you shop at Into the AM, use my code and use my link. Thanks so much. I'm sure people will continue to ask throughout this broadcast, so I will make sure and give you guys let's see, Lono is wearing Into the AM. Use code Lono for an extra 10% off their site-wide sale. I meant to do this before. And then intotheam.com/Lono. We'll make sure and submit that so you guys can use the shirt command throughout the show. And thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you so much, Into the AM, for sending me some dope new shirts and working with us. We always love working with them. And you can use that shirt command throughout the broadcast. And let me go through here and thank all the people who continue to support what we do. Toasted Notes with the VIP, and that's going to add to the total. You guys are already off to a nice strong start here, and Han shot first, and so did you. A single gifted from Joker Quinn, and then Rissick does a VIP renewal for 38 months, and he says Metaphor is my game of the year. And thank you so much Big Evil for renewing for 22 months. Scalpers are now selling the PS5 Pro for $680. Love to see that they're losing money. Suck it, scalpers! Nobody likes you. You love to see scalpers lose money. And then ADR Zone says, such buffoonery is Reforge on Xbox. Good morning, guys. Yo, thank you for the $2 super chat tip. You guys can super chat as long as it's $5 and above. It helps with the goal, and then I may end up having to gift other members. I'll add to the total as well. So some of you guys don't like gifting members. You prefer to super chat. That's why that super chat goal is up there. Let's debate this, though. All right? The Xbox thing, fine, whatever. I'll read your comments. You might get featured in the live show. Thank you to everybody who threw their support behind that video this morning. We greatly appreciate you. It's doing well. So everybody that continues to support our content when we do uploads, thank you so much. And then Demetrius with 2 months of memberships. Thanks for the guy gal who gifted me. Also, Prince of Persia Lost Crown is my game of the year. I literally play it every day. I saw people saying that it was going to get nominations. I just don't think so. I don't think enough outlets will vote for it. I really, really liked Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown. It's one of my favorite games this year. Probably in the top 3, maybe top 4. And it's like, more than likely not going to get a nomination because there's just not going to be enough votes for it. But do you guys think my theory is correct that like Keighley was getting so many outlets and so many people saying, hey, you got to let us vote for Erdtree. It's the size of a game and it did so well and its score is so strong. Let us vote for Erdtree. I don't think there's some conspiracy here to basically rig the competition. I think he was like, yeah, so many people are saying this, we're going to have to let them, we're going to have to let them do it. We're going to have to let them vote for it. I don't think it's going to win. I don't think Erdtree stands a chance. There's just no way. I don't think enough outlets would vote for it. They would say, no, I'm not voting for a DLC. There are ones that would like to, but there's way more outlets and YouTubers, bloggers, journalists that are going to say, dude, I'm not voting for a DLC for Game of the Year. Yo, Ghostface with a VIP renewal. Guys, if your membership is a member plus or above, you count in the total every time you renew. He says, top of the morning, picking up my PS5 Pro today. Happy, happy, joy, joy, dude. Enjoy it. Hang on, Barrier's got some Stalker 2 info for us here. I am super nervous about this game's performance. How's it running? The guy says, sad to say it's not great. It's definitely not smooth. Playing on performance. Graphic look exactly like the images the OP posted. Kind of looks dirty, if that makes sense. There's some awesome weather effects, though, and the trees are swaying. Yeah, I read. That was what my coverage said. If you can stomach 30 FPS in a first-person game, quality with VRR might be the way to go. VRR doesn't do anything for 30. We're the internet. It's all conspiracy. This is true. I could see that. He always made it a priority to let people know it's the judges who decide who gets nominated or not. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sitting here saying, like, I don't think Keighley did this as a means of, like, oh, I want my way here. We're going to let people vote for a DLC. I think he likely had too many people trying to vote for it. And he was like, well, we got to let people vote for it. Yo, Bumble Pants with 26 months. So super boring if Erdtree wins. The main game already did, and we know it's good. Another game needs the prize. I 100% agree with you. Like, you have such an advantage when you win Game of the Year to come back, do an incredible DLC, and then what, win again? MASH, good to see you. My Game of the Year nominations. MASH says FF7 Rebirth, Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Metaphor, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Persona 3 Reload, Balatro, Unicorn Overlord, Stellar Blade, and Dragon's Dogma 2. Well, that's a lot of games, so only 6 are probably going to get up there and get the nomination. I do not think Black Myth Wukong gets a nomination. I know there are people that think that's like a conspiracy or something woke, but it's like, no, it didn't get a good enough score. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Rob V with 27 months and a member plus. It shouldn't be nominated. A good game will lose out to a DLC, which is inherently not a game, and that renewal adds to the total. 8 members already on the week. A nice strong start. You guys secured last week's member stream, so be sure to continue to renew and gift and do those things. Wait, is this accurate? To be fair, Prince of Persia got a lot of reviews. Wait, why am I thinking that its score was so much lower than that? Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, Metacritic? Did I overlook my boy? Yeah, see, here's the problem. On Metacritic, it only has 84, and it has an 86. It has 84 critic reviews and an 86. Over there on OpenCritic, it has 100 and what is that? 182 and it has an 87? It has an 87? Yo, Prince of Persia could get up there. That would be awesome. I tried to tell people, I was like, this is the best Metroidvania that I've played since Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Like, Prince of Persia was excellent. I still haven't gone back and done the DLC. I've been too busy. It got review bombed. I don't care about user scores on Metacritic. I remember thinking that it didn't do well enough on Metacritic, but I keep forgetting OpenCritic has higher numbers, like more, more participants. That would be awesome if Prince of Persia got up there with the likes of FF7 Rebirth and Metaphor and Astrobot. That would be great. Too low at 87? That's not too low. No, I don't think so. I think anytime you're in the high 80s after that many outlets voted for you, after that many outlets reviewed your game, that means a lot of outlets may go and say, hey, we want it. We want it to be voted for. That's a lot of people that gave it a good score. You have to remember, the 87's not the thing you need to consider. It's the quantity of people that voted for it, and it still got an 87. So take like the 20% down that didn't like it or didn't give it a great score. The other 80% that gave it good and high scores may vote for it. And that's a lot of people. It's a quantity game. Too bad they shut their studio down. This is true. If it gets an award, it'll be another Hi-Fi Rush. It'll be like another game that's scrappy and awesome and wins an award and gets, noticed and then gets frickin' shut down. And a 20 bomb from MASH, the man himself, the man, the myth, the myth, the legend, the MASH. He gifts a 20 bomb, and I now owe you guys 5 members. Every 25 members, I give 5 back to the community. If you prefer to do super chats, I actually add to the total of members whenever you guys do super chat. So thank you so much, MASH, for continuing to support the channel with your generosity. Thank you, Fuzzy, for using my code. Have I ever mentioned that I really like their vintage tees? Yeah, if you guys are using my code over there on Into the AM, thank you. And Stone Spire gifts a member. I know what Stone Spire is going to do. He says, you're not done, sir. I'm going to bump the line to 30. He wants to tempt that 20 bomb. Appreciate what you do. Stone Spire is the probably most faithful line bumper. He bumps that line. I don't know if he actually wants me to say that. That might make people think other things about him. But guys, as you're tuning in, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you have smashed it like you want to. And then Joker Quinn, QBZ renews for 27 months, and DK Bager, we've got gifteds and renewals intermingled, and that takes us to 33. Thank you, boys, for supporting the channel with your renewals or your gifts. Yeah, I would love it if Prince of Persia gets up there. The 187, it's got more total reviews on OpenCritic than FF7 Rebirth. It's got more total reviews than Astrobot. You've got to remember that means a ton of people gave it a really good score. I'll be thrilled. I will absolutely be thrilled if that game gets up there. I really and truly will. Let me set an alarm for myself. We are going to be really kind of flying here. Let me set an alarm for, what time is it? We'll go over, what do you think? Yeah, we'll go over at 11:30. His event is at noon, so at 10:45. I'll schedule the stream at 1:15. I just want to make sure I'm correct on this. Keighley's event is at noon Eastern, I believe. Oh, and I didn't get to tell you guys, I should have included this. It wasn't that big, but there's a new Lego sets for Horizon coming. Nobody's surprised by that. Yeah, it's going live at 11:30. He'll probably do the same thing. He'll do like a 30-minute countdown. Okay. Okay, and I have a poll on the channel. If you guys want to vote in this poll, you can go to the community tab, and it says, should DLC qualify for Game of the Year 2024 live discussion? It already has 258 votes, and people are saying, no, it shouldn't. I think the gaming community is in agreement on this, and John Lepkowski gifts a member as well. I just think it's going to come down to Jeff's going to say, listen, everybody was voting for it. You know what I mean? It looks like you're losing that 50-member bet of me thinking Star Wars Outlaws gets a nom for Game of the Year, and you said no. Wait, why would I lose it? There's no way Outlaws is going to get a Game of the Year nomination. What are you talking about? Yo, and Mini Black jumps in with a VIP. I'm counting that as double. That takes us from 34 to 36. If you guys upgrade to Member Plus or VIP, or you sign up brand new for Member Plus or VIP, I count that as 2 in the goals. Thank you so much for that extra support. Ain't no way Outlaws getting nominated. Belphegor with a single gifted and takes us to 37. A strong start to this week in gaming news. Wait, maybe I lose it? You're gonna lose, Mash. Star Wars Outlaws isn't gonna get nominated for anything. There ain't no way, dude. We got people here on my Xbox video. Mr. Grimm says, I see some people having a hard time with this. They need Phil to literally explicitly say, yes, we're going third party for them to finally accept the truth. I saw a clip from an Xbox podcast, and the guy said that no red line in the catalog is just another way of saying case by case, okay? And I was like, huh? What does that mean? No, that's not true. When he said no red line in the catalog, the context of the discussion was very different. It's Insomniac Black, wanted to support you on both my channels. I thought that avatar looked familiar. And the first super chat of the day, thank you so much, Mini Black. Actually, that's the second super chat, I'm sorry. First super chat for the goal of the day. Did they leave me a voicemail? I think the car place might be trying to call me. Let's see here. Whenever you are ready to get the schedule for... Wait. Oh, no, hang on. That's something different. And JW with a gifted member takes us to 38. Yeah, I don't think when Phil said there's no red line, he's like, oh, we're going to handle it case by case. I think he was quite literally saying, yeah, there's literally nothing in the way of us just taking everything to another platform. You know what I mean? Case by case means it's something to PlayStation unless it's not worthwhile to do so. I mean, I suppose you could say that. Mash. There will be games that don't go just because it wouldn't be profitable enough. Like if there's a red line, it's Redfall. Like Redfall's not... I don't think they would move Redfall. If you buy... Hilly, if you buy a physical copy of Outlaws, you get a voucher inside to download a digital copy of The Last Jedi film. That's phenomenal. And dude with the drum set, 23, almost 2 years. Happy Monday, says dude with the drum set, and bumps a line to 39. Thank you so much, dude with the drum set. Nightfire left a comment on my Xbox video. He said, I said this when Xbox was announced. It's about games, and not services. Xbox keeps trying to sell services and not games. As long as they keep doing this, they will stay in the place that they are. It's so out of touch. Like I said, it's so out of touch. Like, that's what I said. I was like, the advertisements, the interviews with Phil, it's like, who are you marketing to? Is there anybody right now that's not a gamer that's like, oh, my phone is an Xbox now. Time to become a gamer. Like, I don't think... The only people who see it and think, oh, this might benefit me is gamers. So it's like you're talking to people who are already gaming. Like if you already have Game Pass or something. Or we can talk about how Stalker 2 exclusivity is going to kill its sales because isn't that the normal conversation with exclusives? Well, no. The PC Master Race boys that always bang on that drum won't say that because they'll be able to get it on PC. They only ever say that when it's limited from them and on PlayStation. But if PlayStation is left out, they won't say that because they're not consistent. P-Dub H-Town with 16 months says, my personal game of the year is Rebirth. I finally started playing it on my Pro and I'm completely hooked. Astros a close second. And Belfagor was trying to set up the 10-bomb dunker, but he set up a 10-bomb Agent of Chaos instead. We'll see if anybody takes the bait. Belfagor, thank you so much. Microsoft watched the Diablo Immortal announcement and something clicked. I don't think I agree with that. Mr. Mac left a comment on the Xbox video and said, it's sad Xbox is so consumer friendly like Xbox Game Pass etc. and yet people like you and many others would love to see them fall as a company instead of supporting them. LOL. I don't support bad ideas or things I don't care about. The victim mentality is strong. Good games sell systems. Like, period. Like, what do you mean? They're so I'm supposed to support Xbox efforts. I'm supposed to support their efforts simply because you think they're being consumer friendly. And a 5-bomb from JW bumps the line to 46. I'm a consumer, and what Xbox is doing doesn't have any value for me. It doesn't. And a member plus renewal from Shiny Red Flag. Welcome back. Yeah, Master's going to drop a 50 bomb anyways. Exactly. Inch it to 50, guys, and get him to do it. No. What? I'm not supporting them because they're not giving me something that I want. I'm not going to be like, yay, Xbox, I'm going to support you no matter what. And also, saying that, like, you would love to see them fail or fall. I don't want to see them fail or fall. I've spent the last 2 years or more saying, do better, be better. And they continue to deal in mediocrity and service-oriented sales as opposed to quality of games and hardware sales. Like, they're not offering what I want. A $5 super chat from Talents says, I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox ditched the handheld and said, F it, no new consoles next gen. I don't think they're going to ditch the handheld. I think that'll still come. Oh, there we go. That's why I set that alarm. Let me schedule the second stream of the day. We're going to be bouncing around today, chat. Bouncing around with the Game of the Year, or the Game Awards nominations are coming, and we're going to be watching them together. Usually I don't like doing this, but we have 45 more minutes of discussion, so we are not going to be cutting this stream short. You guys can continue to debate, argue, scream, and yell, and I will thank you guys for the renewals in just a second. Let's put us in that category there. And then we will, I'm going to do this. I have to trick it sometimes. I have to swap the thumbnail, or it won't have the appropriate thumbnail. And we are going to be co-streaming Keighley's event, but that's in like 45 minutes. We have plenty of time, to discuss and yell at each other. So don't worry. You'll get your daily dose of live show. We're not cutting anything short. I'm just taking 30 seconds here to get everything ready. And that way people can set an alarm or a notification. But I've got some people to thank. VIP from Stonespire, on the road to 2 years. Love the content in the community. Make sure y'all get into the Discord and hang out. Great job as always, sir. Brooklyn Breed was 17 months. The stream is an Xbox. 17 months. Let's go. And then Stonespire also gifts a member, and that bumps the line to 49 to 49. Thank you guys so much. Let me close all that. We don't need all these tabs open as you guys are piling into the stream. Let me know what you think. Should a DLC qualify for Game of the Year? Do you agree with that or not? I certainly don't agree with that. I think it's a terrible idea. And it sets a bad precedent. Brett Williams with 18 months of memberships, waiting for the Xbox channels to start defending PlayStation 5 since it's an Xbox now. Happy Monday. Thanks for the amazing content. Thank you, Brett. I absolutely hate the term anti-consumer. Like, what does that mean? How can a company that's lifeblood is selling a product be anti-consumer? Well, I've always said that being pro-consumer is a misnomer. Like, there's no such thing. If you have a consumer convinced that you're being pro-consumer, you're just doing it to get their money. Everything is designed to get your money. So I've tried to use things like customer leaning, like this is leaning toward the customer. This is doing right by the customer. I think companies can be described as doing that. They're doing right by the customer. And I think that's always designed to get your loyalty and more money from you. Like if Amazon's really generous with their return policy with me, it's because they want me to keep shopping there, not because they like me. And a single gifted from Stonespire, he bumps the line to 50, tempting somebody to do the 50 bomb to 100. Don't let MASH do it. Somebody else do it. But yeah, I've always thought pro-consumer was a misnomer. It's like, you can say it, but you have to understand what you're saying. They're simply doing something to motivate your loyalty and further spending. They're not doing it because they like you. And a 50 bomb from MASH. He says, I'm the only one that's allowed to do 50 bombs. There's only one Blade, and there'll only ever be one Blade, and I guess there's only ever going to be one MASH. Thank you again, MASH, for doing that. I was hoping somebody would beat him. I was like, come on, somebody take the glory from this man. Enjoy all of the members. Our first 100 members of the week. Let's have a big send-off. I will be out of town next week for Thanksgiving. Spend it with your friends and your family. Okay, if you're like, I don't really spend time with my family, man, get together with your friends and have pizza. Just do something next week if you can for Thanksgiving. I'll be out of town for the week. No uploads, no nothing while I'm gone. Maybe some member stuff. That's almost impossible when I'm gone in order to do that. So thank you guys so much. Let's have a big send-off for the week. We'll have a big celebration on Friday night. Maybe even I may pull Hilly out of retirement if he can hang out this week. Hilly, if this week works for you, let me know. That might be a great send-off before I take a week off. Ghost in the Garage Gaming says, I said on Twitter, all these companies want your money. Companies like Sony just aren't taking you to dinner first before they peel your wallet. Right. They don't woo you with this sense of friendship. They woo you with quality. It's completely different marketing strategy. It's a completely different marketing strategy. And I actually think that Xbox has shifted away from being your friend and your pal. Yeah. Hilly, you can? Oh, we got to come up with some good incentives if we hit the goal. Hilly can stream this Friday. Book it, Hilly. Book it. Let your lady know. Because I think my wife's going to be out doing something anyway. So that's perfect. That is perfect. Mr. Unlimited got a gifted. Who's Mr. Unlimited? Is that something that I should know, or is that somebody that hangs out here? Where is that? Is that like a YouTuber that we should know? I am super unfamiliar with lots of YouTubers, so sometimes people are like, "Have you ever heard of so and so?" And I'm like, "No." They did kill off the ambassadors program. I mean, what are you gonna do, guys? Take a quick second. We've only been streaming for 47 minutes, man. Smash that like button. Smash the like button. Let's get to 300 likes already. What a strong start to the day and the week. I thought that was Russell Wilson. Oh, is he hanging out? Good to see you. Hope you're having a great season. I don't watch anymore like I used to. This is an Xbox. We all know why he wants to book Hilly. That's right. Hilly got more gifted members for his birthday than I did. That's right. Oh, man. Okay, hang on. Let me read these. Lone Wolf did his own Game of the Year nominations. He says, Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Dragon's Dogma 2. Okay, so up to now, Lone Wolf, we are in complete agreement. Those were the 5 that I trotted out this morning based on total scores and number of scores on OpenCritic. You then have Silent Hill 2. Okay, I thought putting Prince of Persia over Silent Hill 2, but I just have a feeling that they would vote for Silent Hill for some reason. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a great list. Your list is very similar to mine. Very similar to mine. Drebin here says, I'll miss the big 3 duking it out. I will not roast marshmallows on the heaping fiery wreck that is the Xbox brand. I wanted a continued fight, not this. People that think that folks like myself wanted Xbox to go away haven't been paying attention. You haven't been paying attention. The reality is you wanted Xbox to go away because you were more concerned with getting a deal on Game Pass and doing high dollar acquisitions than actually sinking to the core principles of what makes a console great. You wanted Xbox gone in the name of saving a buck and getting Call of Duty on Game Pass. The rest of us didn't want Xbox to go away. We wanted them to do what they did in the 360 era. Commit to good hardware, commit to innovation, commit to good games. You were more concerned with winning a fight on Twitter. You didn't give a rip about Xbox. You wanted to score points on your podcast and your Twitter fights. I wanted Xbox to do what they did in the past. I wanted them to do what Nintendo and PlayStation do. I wanted the three teams out there duking it out. Team Green, Team Blue, and Team Red. And all you did was cheer for Team Game Pass. So don't tell me that I wanted Xbox to go away. You did. That's the facts. I get tired of that. It's like, dude, I built my library on 360. I stuck with them through Xbox One. I didn't even switch. I just didn't have anything to do. It's like, well, this platform's delivering more games. What do you want me to do? So, well done. Well done. You got your acquisition. You got your Call of Duty on Game Pass. Hopefully it was worth it. As the brand lies in tatters and the big bad green monster in the room, Microsoft, is now in full control. So there you go. The deep pockets of Microsoft have come home to roost. You wanted to brag about how Big Daddy Microsoft could foot the bill for in eternity. You wanted to brag about how the big deep pockets of Daddy Microsoft could keep things going for forever. Well, congratulations. They are in charge now. NVIDIA's the big green monster in the room. Microsoft's just husky. My hard-earned money washed away with the Xbox brand. Right. I bought a $500 console. I bought a $500 console that didn't do any of the stuff it was supposed to do. And you can call me a grifting, port-begging pony all you want. You just sound crazy. You sound delusional. Mash says, to be fair, though, Xbox was on downhill before this gen. I think it was more on an expand to multiplat versus leave than much of a choice. Mash, I'm going to keep coming back to this. Phil Spencer has never been more incorrect than when he said an 11 out of 10 Starfield won't get people to sell their PlayStation 5s. It's not about getting people to get rid of their PlayStation 5s. It's about getting people to buy your box. It's about getting people to want your games. PlayStation 4 generation, the generation that Phil said was the most important generation, 20 million people were not building libraries on PS4s and they bought a PS5. How in the world did you get 20 million people to do that? Because PlayStation wasn't caught up in this idea that we got to get people to get rid of their Xbox. No, their goal was, we want you to buy a PlayStation. We want you to buy a PlayStation. If that was the worst generation to lose, then how on earth do we have 1/3 of PS5 owners that didn't even build a library during that gen? How? Because PlayStation stuck to the core principles of the business. They focused on the hardware and they focused on game quality. And Xbox didn't do that. They focused on having a low price entrance with the Series S. They hamstrung their entire gen with it. Drove third party away with it. Slowed down their own developers with it, and here we sit. So yeah, now you can say it's too late. It's like, well, it's too late now. They've got to just shift to publisher and ecosystem. Yeah, because they're the ones that did this. It's like running your car into the guardrail for 10 miles, and then the wheel finally flies off, and you're like, I guess we have to walk now. Well, yeah, of course. Look what you did. Yeah, you've got to get out and walk now. You wrecked the car. It's so frustrating. It's like they didn't have to do this. They could have taken a completely different strategy. They could have heavily invested in Series X and hardware synergy with your devs. They could have come out swinging this gen with the Gears and a Halo and who knows what else. That could have been this gen. So of course that's all they can do now. And Mash, you know I love you. I agree with you. That was their only choice. But they're the ones that did it. They're the ones that brought this about. Ravenous Gojira, real question is, are you going to play Stalker 2 Indiana Jones on your Xbox or wait for the Pro? Well, I mean, I'll play them the day they launch because I'm a YouTuber. I don't have a, that'd be sort of a mistake, would it not? Microsoft's idea of an amazing game is a 7 to 8 out of 10. There's no recovery from years of mediocrity. Well, I mean, Mash, I think a cadence of 8 out of 10 games would have helped, but at some level, I think you're right. I think the goal should have been, we need award-winning games, not games to hit a cadence. I've made this parallel before with Disney, like when Disney said, we need a new Star Wars game every 6 months, and I'm like, as soon as you prize cadence over quality, that's a bad idea. The minute you do that, I get concerned. It's like, oh, you're prizing cadence over quality. Well, that's not good. You end up with Jedi Survivor. What did Ghost say? The writing's been on the walls for several generations. Xbox 360 sold 80-ish million, then fell to 60-ish with the Xbox One, and now 30-ish million. It's been a downward trajectory. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ghost. PlayStation 5 somehow convinced 20 million people to buy a PS5 who didn't have a PS4. So they weren't just like automatically loyal. They didn't like have a library they had to keep. So to me, it's like, I think Xbox gave up when they shouldn't have. I think they should have put the pedal all the way down instead of retreating. I think they could have nailed it this gen. I think they could have. That was so distracting when you came in, by the way, Mama. I was like doing my show, but I just went live. And she likes to put her she likes to put her dough in here so that it rises. Pause. She likes to put it where it's warm. Pause. Anyways, this is stop it, Mama. This is the one room in the house where there's an ample amount of heat from my PC. She literally puts it in between the PCs. Get out of here. Go on and get. Okay. They can't figure out why the trunk does that? What do you mean they can't duplicate it? Of course it doesn't do it for them. It's always in the heat. It's never in the winter. And it's because something probably loosens in the heat and it's tight in the winter. That's fine. Okay. No, yeah. That's fine. Okay. All right. It's not the PC blowing hot air. Shut up, Hilly. It just gets worse and worse. Yeah, stop it, baby. Lono's PC's a dough riser. That's right. She did it once and got great results, so now she always brings it down here. It's just like, all right. Ghost says, same applies for PlayStation. They saw a resurgence of buyers from PS3 to PS5. They figured out a way to attract 20 million more customers for the PS5, i.e. upward trajectory. But you don't think with IP like Halo and Gears, Xbox could have disrupted that at all? You don't think with iconic franchises they could have stepped into this gen and been more disruptive and been more bullish? I don't know. Is it truly that Sony convinced 20 million, or is it that Xbox convinced those 20 million to move or change? Uncle Brada, that's an excellent question. We don't exactly know where the 20 million came from. Obviously, if you look at the downward trajectory of Xbox and the upward trajectory of PlayStation, it'll look one-to-one. You'd be like, yeah, everybody just migrated. I don't think every single person that jumped over to PS5 and didn't have a PS4 automatically came from Xbox. I don't think so. If you think about Xbox as kind of destined to be more than a console, just how Algebra X is meant to be everything. Literally, X is for the anything box. Yeah, but that's not what they called it. It was because of DirectX. It wasn't because they wanted to be everything. Now, I was talking to my friend last night about this, and he said, well, that's what Bill Gates has always wanted. You know, he wanted it to be this device that could do everything. And I'm like, yeah, and I feel like that's what Xbox continues to do. Microsoft, continues to do. They continue to set things up because they're like, hey, we want to be everywhere. We want people to be everywhere. We want people to be able to access everywhere. And it's like, I think as an executive, you're doing something that just doesn't seem to integrate well or woo over people who are in the gaming world. You know what I'm saying? It's more of an executive level decision of like, well, we're Microsoft after all. We're Microsoft. Our stuff should be everywhere. And if our stuff's everywhere, then, you know, we should be making it super accessible. Does that make sense? You put it perfectly, a perfect bow on this, brother. This guy says, turning everything into an Xbox is turning Xbox into nothing. Yeah, that was my show. That was my video ender. If you guys haven't watched that video yet, be sure to check it out. This guy, Kicking It with Timmy B, says, I said it in one of the morning coffees that Phil has been talking about putting Xbox games on multi-plat. At that point, I knew it was over. Thank you for all of the comments on that video. We greatly appreciate you guys supporting our efforts to do more uploads. Thank you to everybody who has voted in the poll. I put out a poll saying, should DLC qualify for Game of the Year 2024? And a lot of people are saying no. 88% are saying no. So you can always vote for those polls on the channel. What will be weird with them as a publisher, they are going to have to make their game quality better. Yeah, Bumblepants, I talked about that the other day. I was like, I'm really concerned that their efforts... Their efforts to publish, I believe, are going to be cannibalized and hamstrung by the fact that they're trying to constantly make everything run on Series S and a Series S cloud profile. I had so many people that didn't know that. I had so many people jump on my video on Twitter over the weekend and say, hey, that's not true. When you play on the cloud, you're playing on a Series X. And it's like, they don't realize that you're actually playing on a Series S profile. So even people that are like, oh, no, you're wrong, cloud's the way. It's like, you don't even understand how they're doing it. PlayStation just tweeted a couple hours ago, coming up in a few minutes, news on 5 upcoming PSVR 2 games from the main PlayStation account. That's kind of surprising that I thought they were backing off. The official Xbox Twitter account said, these Xboxes are Xboxing. Tap into the Xbox experience on the device of your choice. And here, let me turn this off and this off. They're doing this. They're doing this big, huge. They're slapping stickers on everything. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. Yeah. Again, I look at this advertising and I just think, if you're not a gamer, you're like, yeah, okay, so like, what do I care? You know, what do I care that that's an Xbox now? It only really communicates to people that are in the gaming world that have even like a modicum of understanding of like what in the heck's going on. You know, it's like, if you're in the gaming world, you know what that means. You have like an understanding of basic terminology to be like, well, how on earth could my phone, how on earth could my TV or my tablet be an Xbox all of a sudden? And you're sitting there and you're saying, well, I understand because you're in the world and you get it. To the average consumer, though, it's like, I don't know if they know. Parents getting their kids something to play. I mean, listen, that's another thing somebody brought up the other day. Can you imagine like a mom or a dad being like, hey, we got you an Xbox, and it's like a Fire Stick, and the kid's like, what are you talking about? You know? Butter says, hey, Timmy, I got you an Xbox. This is a fridge, Grandma. Phil just needs to rip off the Band-Aid and come out and say we're going third party. I mean, I said that what they're doing is going to expedite publishing. I feel like the ecosystem is going to be acidic to their efforts of publishing, so I don't know. But it's like, imagine telling a developer right now, all right? So let's imagine that you're developing, you're an Xbox game studio, okay? And you're working on a big game that's going to come out, you know, in 4 or 5 years. You are now directed to play. I'm sorry, not to play. You're now directed to build your game for PC, Series S, Series X, PS5, potentially tapping into PS5 Pro enhancements. You also need to make sure that when it runs on Series S, that it'll run well on a Series S profile on the cloud. So now every Xbox game studio is tasked with making a game that will be impressive, but it has to do all those things. Like, I want you to imagine being an Xbox game studio right now. And here's what's funny is people will get really angry and say, you know, oh, you're just being down on Xbox. That's all you ever do. Well, who's been more accurate about what Xbox was going to do the last year or two? You or me? All you cheerleaders look kind of foolish right now. So maybe stop taking swings at people who have been critical of the brand the last 2 years because your fandom didn't do anything but make you look foolish. So quit throwing swings and spitting at me. Think about it. If you're an Xbox game studio, that's your task now. That's your task. Every game you build has to reach that broad spectrum. How many developers over the last couple of years have said it's easier to build a game for one system first? It's easier. It makes it more streamlined. They're doing the exact opposite. They're doing the literal opposite. Oh, it's pro-consumer and people like you want Xbox to die. It's like, no, I don't. No, it's not as DLC. Oh, are you guys debating can DLC? Yeah. And another $5 super chat from Darth Biscuit. Xbox wanted me to sign up for Game Pass just to play the Halo Master Chief campaigns with my friend. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Guys, you got a little bit of time to hit that super chat goal before we switch gears. We will be co-streaming the Game Award nominees stream with Geoff Keighley. So 7 more super chats, and I have to add 5 to the total. You guys have already started the week insanely strong. We already have 100 members. That's gifteds, that's renewals, that's all of it. So make sure you're celebrating your renewals, or you can make me add to the total as well. Thank you for being here. If you're like, oh man, I can't do super chats or memberships, smash that like button. Yeah, on the debate of if a DLC can, you know, should it apply, or I'm sorry, should it get a nomination for Game of the Year? No, I don't think so at all. I don't think it should even be a question, like if a DLC should be able to be nominated. Odin Arrow is the Agent of Chaos. We were on a nice, even 100, and now we're at 101. Oh, I just realized I haven't paid up. I owe you guys. What do I owe you? I think I only did the 5 bomb. Yeah, I did a 5 bomb. I owe you guys 15 members. If we can get it to 125, I'll just do it all in one. I'll do a 20 bomb. I'll do the 20 bomb in the next stream. I'll do that when we do the Game Awards stream. Yo, what's good, Citizen JV? Yeah, I don't think it's a question that, like, a DLC should not be getting nominated for Game of the Year. I think that's incredibly stupid. And I think people are going to be really, really stuck. The beautiful nature of this situation with the Game Awards is there are going to be people who are so anti-Sony that they want DLC to be nominated, so they'll cheer for Erdtree to win because they hate Sony so much. They don't want Rebirth or Astrobot to win because those are basically tentpole ambassador titles for PlayStation. So they're going to be people that are now stuck. You're going to have to cheer for a change that Keighley made, and you're going to have to cheer for a DLC to win Game of the Year because you don't want a PlayStation game to win, or at least a PlayStation exclusive to win. I guarantee you there are people right now that are like torn. You know that meme where the guy's like sweating and he doesn't know which red button to push? They're like, so do I have to cheer for a DLC to win, or do I have to admit that it's very likely that a PlayStation exclusive is going to take Game of the Year this year? It's either FF7 Rebirth or Astrobot. It's one of the two. Everybody else is like up there, but I think it's between those two. That's your Apollo Creed Rocky fight right now. I don't think there will be enough outlets to vote for DLC for it to win, but I bet it gets a nomination. That's why they change it. And a $10 super chat from Talents says, my brother is a casual gamer, no console preference, but has had an Xbox to play NBA 2K, not an online player. If Xbox no longer makes consoles, he will switch to the next cheapest console to continue playing. Yeah, I think the face-off is between Astrobot and Rebirth. That's what I think. Matt's bringing more dough down. Stop it, babe. Erdtree was overrated. It's not even good. I mean, come on, Dave. That's not true. It was a masterpiece. I mean, come on. I played it long enough to know it's a dadgum masterpiece. I watched the fights. I saw the footage. It's incredible. Are you kidding me? Come on, Meow. Come on, Meow. We don't have to run in the opposite direction. I don't think that it should be up for Game of the Year, but we don't need to downplay it and say it was overrated and not that great. Come on. Erdtree is the greatest expansion ever, but F. Radon. Yeah, I mean, come on. It was a pretty huge moment as well. We had streamers like Kai streaming in. I mean, it shook the world a little bit for a DLC. My comment from the poll would make sense in this situation. All right, hang on 1 second. My wife said your comment better not be stupid because you're sending me over here to read it. All right, hang on. Zero Steel says, you know, last year had the most supported game award and it was given to Phantom Liberty. DLC's expansion should be under that category, why remasters had their own, like best upgraded or something. Well, Phantom Liberty didn't do best supported. It was best ongoing. Your point stands, though, Zero Steel. I get what you're saying, and I tend to agree that I do. I think in general, the category should be accommodating to what's out there rather than bending the categories to what's out there. Does that make sense? If you're going to say, oh, this deserves Game of the Year, I feel like you're bending the category to the DLC. It should be the other way around. You should be creating categories to accommodate all the various things that are out there. For example, there are smaller breakout indie titles that we want to see get praise, but you can't put them up there on the Game of the Year podium with the likes of FF7 Rebirth or Metaphor or Astrobot. It would be ridiculous. It was like, come on, yes, this is a great game, but its footprint's smaller. It got less reviews. It's less well known. So what do? Instead of letting them never make it up on the stage or arbitrarily just shoving them up there and ham-fisting them into the category, you give them their own category so they can shine within that category. So that stands to reason. Then you would say, okay, we've got DLC sometimes, we've got additive content sometimes that is worthy of recognition, that is worthy of praise. Let's put it in its own category instead of ham-fisting a DLC into the Game of the Year category. And I guarantee you that's what Geoff's going to say. He's going to say, hey, I had so many people voting for it. We had to accommodate the number of people that were voting for this thing to be Game of the Year. And it's like, well, no, you're in charge of the event, Geoff. And all you had to say was, no, we're not doing that. We'll create a new category in the future. Because I don't think Astrobot will win, but it will certainly take it'll certainly take a slot from somebody deserving. I love Astrobot and Stellar Blade this year. Yeah, my personal favorite game of the year is Astrobot, followed by probably Prince of Persia. I think Astrobot's going to win, but did I say Astrobot? I meant to say Stellar Blade. Sorry, I'm getting myself confused because I'm reading chat and I'm talking too fast. My personal favorite game of the year is Stellar Blade, followed by Prince of Persia. I think Astrobot will win, but it's not even my favorite game of the year. I had a blast with it, but I didn't have the level of fun that I had with Stellar Blade and Prince of Persia. Like, that's just my own preference. I don't think Astrobot's going to win because of what I think. I think it's going to win because of the jury process. It had too much broad appeal, too much universal praise. It just had way too much. That's just the nature of it. That's where it landed. It's like it's too strong. I don't think Erdtree has enough reviews. I don't think there's enough outlets that reviewed it for it to win. Less people reviewed Erdtree. I don't think it'll get enough votes. I think it'll get nominated. That's why they updated the website. You said Astrobot will take a slot from something deserving? No. Sorry, I'm talking really fast. I think Shadow of the Erdtree will take a slot from something more deserving for a Game of the Year nomination. That's what I think is going to happen. Keighley updated the website for a reason. He got so many people that were probably voting for Erdtree. He was like, we have to say that DLC can get a Game of the Year nomination this year. I don't think he should have done that. He should have stood his ground and said, no, the website hasn't said that all year. We're not adding that in at the end. Sorry, you can't vote for Erdtree. I think the update to the website is them showing their poker hand. I think Erdtree gets a nom. I think it's going to take a slot from something more deserving because I believe the slot should be reserved for actual games. Sneaky Wolf says, it's a shame Stellar Blade probably won't get nominated. Have you tried it on the Pro? It's amazing. It's beautiful. And I would love it to get nominated in some categories. But, like, listen, when a game is fun and as good as Stellar Blade doesn't get a Game of the Year nomination, I think you should celebrate that. It means that the competition was so insane that that game didn't make it. Stellar Blade was awesome. It was magnificent. Original score, great. Animation and art style and the graphics and the fights and the art direction for the bosses and stuff. It is such a great game. And for it to not get a Game of the Year nomination, that means that the competition was thick, and that's something that you should celebrate. If it gets nominated, I hope the backlash is so profound it forces them to rethink. Yeah, I think Keighley should have stood his ground. I think he should have said, listen, I can appreciate you guys wanting to vote for this DLC, but that's the expectation up to now has not been that. It's been the opposite. You literally have a category for best ongoing game that Phantom Liberty won because of how good it was. If it gets nominated for Game of the Year, I'll never watch that show again. I mean, I would never boycott something just over a nomination. I would imagine Keighley might feel like he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like he knows the community that watches is important. And because of that, he has to consider what they're going to think. But he also has to consider that the jury process and the people that participate in his event are like, no, we should be able to vote for this. That's likely what caused him to update the policy, which again, I think it would have made more sense for him to say, listen, we have to do this in accordance to what was on the website up to now. We can't change it at the last minute. What is your opinion of groups like IGN, which own several websites around the world, having multiple voters on Metacritic and in the Gaming Awards? I'm not super concerned with that, because there's been a very, very clear difference between opinions between sites like Eurogamer and IGN. IGN has outlets in like IGN Brazil and other places who commonly score things well differently than the central hub of IGN does. Now, if they all came out and gave identical scores, you could probably make a case that they're homogenizing and then they shouldn't get that many votes. But I've seen very, very different votes from even the different like IGN Brazil and base IGN. They'll disagree and score things vastly differently. People boycott the Game Awards every year, but the viewership keeps increasing. For sure. For sure. And I think in large part that's because people want to see, they want to see what's going on. Rebirth deserves to win Game of the Year. The amount of art and content in that game is mind-blowing. It's so much game. I always struggle to think that something should win and get tons of recognition when it's got performance issues. That always kind of rubs me the wrong way. I've never been a big fan of that. It's like Jedi Survivor got like insanely good and consistent scores. It always frustrates me. It's like I'm always kind of torn. It's like, okay, it's a good game, but it has performance issues. Like Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2 could potentially get a nomination. I included it in my show open because I think it stands a good chance of getting a nomination. But it had pretty severe performance issues, It doesn't have performance issues. It runs perfectly 60 FPS since launch. What game are you talking about, Mr. B? Are you going to attempt to argue that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has no performance issues and has run perfectly since launch? That's your claim. Guys, in 6 minutes, we're going to shift gears and we're going to shift to another stream. We're going to co-stream the Game Awards 2024 nominees announcement. Viewership increases until it doesn't. People accept things until they don't. I don't think you're going to get that much backlash to a DLC getting a Game of the Year nomination, Eugene. The people on Twitter and YouTube. He's not wrong. FF7 Rebirth performance is really good. Image quality is not. Okay, you can split hairs. That tells me that it has performance issues. That's like telling me that, well, this guy can run really fast, but he trips a lot. Like, okay, that's a performance issue. Performance is fine. It just looks bad. That, to me, is a performance issue. Rebirth is one of the worst implementations of upscaling this generation on the base consoles. If performance looks like blurry mess, but it maintains 60, you don't get to say that performance is fine. That's like people saying, oh, it's a smooth 30 FPS. What? What is smooth and 30 FPS doing in the same sentence? Other than maybe Smooth Brains. Like, what are we doing here? On what planet does Rebirth look bad? It has been consistently criticized for looking poor in performance mode. It has poor image quality issues. 16 had it worse. It's a completely different situation with 16 versus Rebirth. 16 was using FSR 1, and the upscaling for the res turns off when you're not in combat, so you don't get steady 30 FPS the minute you're not in combat. It's especially worse when you go into, like, villages, towns, and stuff. No, Lono, the 60 FPS is great. The image quality is bad. That is a performance issue. Performance is how the game feels. Image quality is how it looks. If you're giving me a low quality image, that's poor performance. I get what you guys are saying. I get where you're slicing it. I don't slice it that way. That's like the people that tell me, well, no, Black Myth Wukong runs fine on PS5. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Its performance mode looks terrible. Am I hearing this right? It's great performance at 240p. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, it's not. You are welcome to your opinion. I am voicing mine. If a game comes out and it's like, well, we're maintaining 60 FPS, but the image quality looks like garbage, I'm going to say that's a performance issue. Your game isn't performing well if you have to make it look terrible just to maintain 60. What are we even saying? Well, yeah, we had to lower the resolution to 780 or 750, 240, whatever, 900, but its performance is good. It's 60. I think it looks like trash at those low reses. What do you mean? I say they're in the same bucket because the way you're maintaining 60 is by having such poor image quality. They're tied together. They're in a two-legged race. You ever done three-legged. You ever done a three-legged race where they tie your legs together? They're tied together. They're intrinsically linked. I think you're the only one that thinks that, and you're making general statements about performance. I don't give a frick if I'm the only one that thinks that. Lono is right. From a QA perspective, maintaining image quality without affecting frame rate is a common test metric. I'm with you, Lono, says Zubair. If it can only perform by not doing its job, that's not performance. That's exactly what I'm saying. If it looks muddy and blurry and poor res, and you're like, oh, but it's performing fine at 60 FPS. No, that is not performing fine. I completely disagree. That just feels like a way to slice it so you can say, it's performing fine. Its performance is good. No, it's not. Absolutely not. I don't agree. You're welcome to think that way, but to me, poor image quality. Eugene's saying the same thing. That's a performance issue. I see this very differently than you guys. I want the full package. I want the full package. I don't want this thing where they're gonna justify having, you know, low quality image simply because they're like, oh, but we're giving you 60. The performance is more than just 60 FPS. You're simplifying it. You're simplifying it down to, well, all that matters for performance is 60 FPS. Everything else matters too. It's not just the 60. Is it maintaining the graphical fidelity that they promised? Is it having pop-in, flickering? Is it having all that weird fuzz on the edge of your character? All of those things are a part of the performance. Should we take into consideration that the full package is available on the Pro now? Well, yeah, of course. Of course we should. Of course we should. Like, well, it runs great on the Pro. Well, yeah, because the Pro is glossing over all those terrible issues that it has. Listen, if you want to talk about specific elements of performance and have nuance, I'm all for nuance. But if you tell me it's performing well, and I've got games like Horizon Forbidden West that you would also describe as performing well, we are not viewing things the same way. Maintaining 60 is not the only job of a game's performance. That is so reductionistic. It's like there is so much more involved with performance. It's not just FPS. We don't generalize it. It's in a different category for us normal people. Oh, well, I'm glad that you think that you're normal and I'm not. Your just brazen arrogance will make you, a welcome addition here. Listen to me. If you're going to say that performance, when you say, how's the game performing, and you say, well, and all you're talking about is frame rate, I am sorry, you're completely out of touch with how tech breakdowns, tech YouTube channels, and tech analysts break down the performance of the game. Y'all are the ones way out in left field on this. You're letting your fandom interfere with thought. If you go to any of these guys that break down games, they are not saying what you're saying. They're not saying, oh, performance is totally fine if in their only metric of measuring that is the frames per second. Nobody who benchmarks games, tests games, or does tech analysis of games or performance analysis of games, that's not the only thing they test. Y'all are being so reductionistic. You're out of touch, not me. It's not me. It's you. I'm not being contrarian, unless you're talking about the people in chat. I am not being contrarian. If I watch a Digital Foundry breakdown or anybody's breakdown of a game's performance, that's not the only thing they check. They check image quality, they check resolution, they check all the features that are supposed to be running well while maintaining 60 FPS. It's a much larger package than some of y'all are making it. Sorry. This is not as subjective, and I'm not taking crazy pills. I'm not the one that's out in left field on this. I'm not. We got to switch gears. We got to switch gears. I love y'all, but we got to switch gears. I owe you guys 15 members. You could make it 20. Let's head over. I'll set the super chat goal to only 5 on the next stream because you guys already got 4. Let's have a strong start. Let's have a strong start. You're talking about the dude arguing with you. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I'm not being contrarian. I'm being pretty much in line with what tech analysts would say. All right, click that link in chat. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. Listen, if you're watching this video later, you're going to want to skip ahead by about 27 minutes for the Game Awards 2024 nominees announcement. All right, this is the Game Awards 2024 nominee announcement stream with Geoff Keighley. A lot of controversy about the fact that we might see a DLC get a Game of the Year nomination today. I'm going to end my previous stream. We were talking about all of the various gaming news things going on. It's a daily interactive live show that is safe for work. So be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button. Consider becoming a member. You get into all my extra content. And I'll make sure and switch that thumbnail over there because we are no longer live.